We will no longer wait for others to give us life. What our land can give, we will use to grow our future.
People around the world were surprised when Burkina Faso's government buried over 200 tons of watermelons in the Sahel desert. Many could not understand why a country facing hunger would throw away food. International media questioned the decision, some even mocked it. But the government said this was not a waste. It was part of a planned program to help the land, and it was carefully thought out. Most of the watermelons buried were overripe, damaged, or unsellable. Instead of leaving them to rot in the markets or fields, the government decided to use them in a new way. Watermelons contain a lot of water and nutrients, and burying them could help the dry soil absorb moisture and regain fertility. The government called this idea Project Oasis, and it was meant to support farmers and the environment. Initially, people were shocked and some were angry, but curiosity soon replaced confusion. Farmers who had empty dry fields began to watch the project closely. Even some scientists admitted that the idea had potential. What started as an unusual action quickly became a symbol of innovation. People began to see it as more than just burying melons. It was a way for Burkina Faso to grow crops differently and try to rely less on foreign help. Project Oasis is a government program in Burkina Faso designed to improve soil and help farmers grow food. The idea is simple but unusual. Instead of wasting overripe or damaged watermelons, they are buried in dry fields. When the watermelons decompose, they release water and nutrients into the soil. This helps the land become more fertile and productive. The project focuses on areas that often do not get enough rain. Burkina Faso has faced years of poor harvests because the soil is dry and weak. By using watermelons as natural soil enhancers, Project Oasis hopes to bring life back to these areas. The buried fruit slowly adds minerals like potassium and calcium, which plants need to grow. Scientists say it also helps microbes in the soil, making it healthier. Project Oasis is also a political message. President Traore wants Burkina Faso to rely less on imported fertilizers and foreign aid. Instead of depending on expensive chemicals from other countries, the program uses what the land already gives. It is a low-cost, locally driven solution. Over time, the government hopes to expand the project to include other fruits and crop waste like mango skins, citrus peels, and peanut shells, turning waste into resources. Early results from Project Oasis have been promising. Scientists and agricultural experts monitored the fields where watermelons were buried. They found that the soil kept moisture longer, sometimes up to 2 weeks after rainfall. In contrast, untreated soil dried up in just a few days. This shows that buried watermelons can help dry soil retain water for crops. Farmers also noticed that seedlings grew faster and stronger in the treated fields. Millet and other grains developed deeper roots and survived better in dry conditions. Soil tests showed more microbial activity, which means the land was becoming healthier. This improvement is critical because healthy soil is the foundation for long-term farming success, especially in regions that struggle with drought. The success is small but visible. Even though the project is still experimental, local farmers are encouraged. They see green shoots in places that were once barren. The results suggest that using organic waste to restore soil is a viable alternative to chemical fertilizers. Project Oasis shows that simple, low-cost methods can improve farming in challenging environments. Project Oasis is not just about soil, it is also a statement of independence. Burkina Faso has relied heavily on imported fertilizers for decades. These chemicals are expensive and often tied to foreign aid conditions. If shipments are delayed or contracts disrupted, farmers suffer and harvests fail. By using local waste like watermelons to enrich soil, Burkina Faso reduces its dependency on foreign products. President Traore framed this as a political act, as well as an agricultural experiment. The country can produce fertility at home without waiting for other nations to provide assistance. It is a step towards self-reliance. This approach sends a message to the rest of West Africa and the world. Burkina Faso is trying to prove that a country does not always need outside help to grow food. Using its own resources, it can create solutions for local problems. Project Oasis is a combination of innovation, independence, and national pride, inspiring other countries to look at similar methods for soil restoration. Not everyone supports Project Oasis. Some critics say the method is experimental and might not work at a larger scale. They worry about pests, uneven nutrient release, or harmful gases like methane from decomposing fruit. Some politicians inside Burkina Faso questioned whether the government was wasting money or taking unnecessary risks. However, scientists supporting the project have provided data to counter these concerns. Tests show increased microbial activity, better moisture retention, and faster plant growth in treated plots. The positive effects, though initially localized, suggest that the method is safe and effective when properly managed. While some risk exists, the potential benefits outweigh the drawbacks. Burkina Faso's scientists continue monitoring the fields carefully, ensuring that decomposition happens safely. The project also encourages community involvement, which helps reduce mistakes and spread knowledge. Over time, these controls could make the method reliable and scalable. Project Oasis could save Burkina Faso money. Fertilizer imports cost the government millions each year. By reducing the need for chemical fertilizers, the country could invest more in schools, healthcare, and electricity. Even small savings per household can make a big difference for poor families. The economic advantage also comes from using local waste instead of importing materials. Damaged watermelons, mango skins, and other crop residues become valuable resources instead of being thrown away. Communities can sell compost-like soil amendments, creating small local businesses and jobs. If Project Oasis succeeds, it could also affect the global fertilizer market. Some European companies and trade groups have expressed concern because Burkina Faso might reduce demand for imported fertilizers. This shows how a simple local project can have wider economic and geopolitical effects, highlighting the power of grassroots solutions. Project Oasis has attracted attention beyond Burkina Faso. In Mali, radio programs now discuss using fruit and organic waste to restore soil. In Niger, students at agricultural colleges are designing low-cost composting systems inspired by the program. In Chad, local leaders are experimenting with gourds and animal waste to replicate the results. Farmers in other countries see the benefits of using organic waste to enrich soil. They realize that chemical fertilizers are not the only solution. Local governments are beginning to study Burkina Faso's methods to see if they can implement similar programs. This regional interest shows that Project Oasis is more than a national experiment. It is inspiring a shift in thinking about agriculture in West Africa. Communities are exploring local, sustainable, and low-cost alternatives for soil restoration, which could have long-term benefits for food security and independence. 6 weeks after the melon burial began, a European fertilizer trade group leaked a memo expressing concern. They warned that if Burkina Faso's method worked, it could reduce demand for imported fertilizers across West Africa. Their tone was urgent and alarmist. The memo suggested using media campaigns to discredit the project. They wanted to create stories about waste and hungry children, implying that the government was reckless. The strategy aimed to protect global fertilizer profits by stopping the spread of the melon burial idea. The leak drew attention worldwide. Some media outlets began criticizing Project Oasis, calling it unsustainable or risky. But within Burkina Faso, it strengthened support. Farmers, communities, and officials doubled down on the project, proving that grassroots initiatives could challenge established global interests. International media initially mocked Project Oasis as wasteful and strange. Western newspapers questioned the logic and portrayed it as a political stunt. Donor agencies and think tanks expressed concerns about safety and unproven science. Pressure from Western governments also increased. Some delayed aid programs, citing experimental policies as a reason. The project became a political issue beyond farming, raising questions about sovereignty, independence, and the power of foreign aid. Despite the criticism, Burkina Faso presented evidence. Photos, soil tests, and farmer testimonials showed real results. Over time, the narrative shifted. Instead of focusing on ridicule, more people began to consider the potential benefits and learn from Burkina Faso's innovative approach. While international critics voiced concerns, local communities supported Project Oasis. Farmers, women's cooperatives, and youth groups volunteered to help. They monitored soil, measured moisture, and participated in melon burial activities. Some villagers saw the initiative as protecting their future. In northern provinces, veterans and volunteers compared guarding soil to guarding borders. Their participation turned Project Oasis into a community effort rather than just a government program. Grassroots support strengthened the project's impact. Villagers took pride in improving their land and helping future generations. This local engagement made the project more sustainable and harder for critics to dismiss. Farmers noticed that previously barren fields were showing green shoots. Millet and other crops grew better, and the soil became healthier. These results encouraged more farmers to join the project. Women's groups played a central role. They collected overripe fruit, mixed it with crop residues, and created compost-like soil amendments. The compost was sold locally, generating income that was reinvested in schools and water projects. Children also participated. Schools taught lessons about soil and watermelons, and students helped bury fruit in demonstration fields. These activities educated young people about sustainable farming, while strengthening the community's connection to the land. What was once considered waste became valuable. Market vendors organized to collect damaged watermelons, mango skins, and peanut shells for soil improvement. Communities found new uses for organic waste, creating local business opportunities. Selling compost or soil amendments generated small income streams. Profits were reinvested into local schools, wells, and other community projects, helping improve quality of life. This microeconomy gave people control over their resources. Project Oasis shows how simple ideas can create economic opportunities. By turning waste into value, communities gain independence, strengthen local markets, and promote sustainable farming practices. Project Oasis became more than farming, it became a symbol. The act of burying melons was seen as reclaiming control over the land and the future. Graffiti, music, and chants reflected the idea of planting freedom and self-reliance. In schools, children learned lessons about resilience and resourcefulness. They buried melons as a symbolic act of hope. Teachers said the message of empowerment would stay with them even if they forgot the science. The cultural symbolism reinforced the project's goals. It inspired pride, encouraged participation, and connected agriculture with independence. Project Oasis became a national story of innovation and dignity beyond its scientific results. The government supported Project Oasis at multiple levels. Regional officials tracked soil health and moisture, and ministries analyzed economic impact. Policies encouraged local involvement and experimentation with other organic waste. Civil society also engaged. Groups demanded transparency and monitored environmental outcomes, ensuring the project remained accountable. This participation strengthened trust between the government and citizens. Project Oasis shaped Burkina Faso's agricultural policy. It highlighted local innovation, reduced reliance on foreign aid, and demonstrated that low-cost, community-led initiatives can influence national decisions. Responses to Project Oasis varied worldwide. Western countries expressed caution or skepticism, fearing that local solutions might undermine global aid systems. Leaked memos and think tank reports criticized the project as risky or unsustainable. Meanwhile, countries like China, Russia, and Turkey praised the initiative. They highlighted its innovation, cost-effectiveness, and cultural relevance. Some suggested adapting similar methods in other regions facing soil and water challenges. Project Oasis became a test case in global debates. It revealed tensions between local self-reliance and international influence. The reactions showed that small local actions can have big geopolitical significance. Burkina Faso's approach challenged long-standing aid models. By using local resources instead of imported fertilizers, the country questioned global systems of dependency. This worried Western donors and companies with financial interests. The project demonstrated that African countries can innovate independently. Local solutions provide dignity and empowerment, showing that foreign aid is not always the only way to succeed. At the same time, Project Oasis highlighted power dynamics in global agriculture. It became clear that agricultural independence is not only about farming, it also affects economics, politics, and international relationships. Project Oasis raises a larger question. Can African countries achieve food security without depending on foreign aid? Early results suggest that using local resources and innovation can improve farming outcomes. Communities are learning to adapt to challenges like drought and poor soil. By experimenting with organic waste, farmers gain knowledge, skills, and confidence in local solutions. While the question is complex, Project Oasis shows that Africa has potential to feed itself sustainably. The initiative inspires hope that local strategies can address hunger and soil degradation while strengthening independence. What Burkina Faso buried was not just melons, it was an idea. Even if the fruit decomposes, the concept of local innovation, independence, and self-reliance remains alive. Project Oasis proves that simple, low-cost solutions can have wide impacts. Farmers, communities, and children participate, creating social, economic, and cultural change. The experiment challenges old assumptions about aid, dependence, and progress. It shows that ideas can grow, inspire, and spread faster than crops, planting hope for a future where Africa can thrive on its own terms.